So a little while back, I was asked a few questions about my favorite things within the medium of anime and manga, specifically within the shonen demographic. Of course, when I answered, I talked a little bit about everything. As most of you already know though, I tend to get heavily consumed into the world of things as well as the development of it and how far a series can actually take it. Another thought I had though was not only of the world and its setting, but when speaking about battle shonen in particular, I find one thing to stand out that interests me more than anything and stacks it above the rest. That clearly being a well done power system. When we look at some of the most heavily praised shonen manga out there, 9 times out of 10 you're gonna hear names with a well done power system within it, and of course there are a ton of well done anime and manga out there within the shonen demographic that don't even have a power system whatsoever. But for the sake of today's video, let's just try to narrow things down a bit. A power system consists of many, and I mean many aspects to it that can conduct how well it's executed. And I find it kind of interesting because not just sporadically, but anytime you're crafting something like a power system, you're of course going to have some inspiration in one way or another. But the real beauty is when your own originality is sparked from that inspiration. And not only just in anime and manga, but you can find this same trait happening in all types of media. I mean, when you take a look at gaming just at a glance, it's not even needed for an explanation on just how amazing power systems within the medium can be shown. And it really doesn't matter how much inspiration you take, just as long as you can add your own flair to it. But if you read the title right, then you would know that, of course, as much as this is my own opinion, that a lot of these series that both I and a homie Metas are going to be talking about are the best of the best. In doing so, creating an original power system while all at the same time showing why they're the greatest power systems in anime and manga. So to kick things off, I wanted to go with my all-time favorite series, One Piece. And I might be a little biased when I say this, but when we take a look at what One Piece as a series has to offer, whether it be within its world or its characters and or even just its political system, One Piece holds just as much detail within all these factors, just as much as in its power system, if not more. You see, in most shonen power systems, there tends to be usually one main branch that cycles the way of how things work in the world. And if done correctly, you have an amazing, if not exceptionally, one of the best power systems in anime and manga. But when you do that and not only do it once, but you excel at it twice within the same series, it just doubles your odds when it comes to this conversation. And with One Piece, it does just that and more, with the systems of both devil fruits and haki. With devil fruits, you have a tree, and depending on which branch you take, the 3 being Parsimisia, Logia, and Zoan, and the odds of your abilities can be limitless, but only if you as a pirate, marine, revolutionary, and or whatever you are in the world of One Piece have the will to do so. They tend to be quite rare in the earlier areas of the world, but the farther you lead yourself into the world, the more and more opportunities to obtain one come your way. But with haki, it can only be applied by what you and yourself are capable of. In the world of One Piece, it's not like you're limited to just one system. It works both ways, and when you have haki, the same rules pretty much apply, just depending on how strong-willed you are and how much time you're willing to put into yourself in order to become stronger in the Great Pirate era. So to put things into perspective, the power systems of One Piece gives it an opportunity for everyone. In doing so, being broad enough to cover grounds across the globe, and no matter what you are in the world, there's a chance for anyone to have meaning within the world of One Piece.
Yo everybody, it's your favorite deviant here, Metas, here to cover the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure power systems. So I've already done this on my channel a lot more in-depthly than I will do here, so if you want to go check those videos out, Augie will probably link them down below, or just go to my channel to go see them. But to give a quick synopsis, in chronological order, Hamon was used in Part 1 Phantom Blood and Part 2 Battle Tendency. Hamon is a very ancient technique in the world of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Hamon is primarily used to defeat the undead in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, due to it having the ability to generate the waves of the sun while the user is breathing correctly in the way of Hamon. In Part 1, its powers are very limited, only being used to enhance kicks, strikes, and just generally like fighting techniques. While extremely basic in Part 1 and very entertaining, Part 2 kicks it up a notch dramatically. Joseph and Caesar show us what Hamon can truly do in the hands of masters and prodigies, using bubbles and cracker volleys to enhance Hamon's already deadly capabilities against the undead and the pillarmen. Hell, Lisa even uses a scarf to do some damage too. But after Part 1 and 2, we go into Part 3 Stardust Crusaders, where we get introduced to a new power system, stands. Stands can be described as your spiritual fighting powers manifested into reality. In the case of Jotaro Kujo, the main Joestar of Part 3 Stardust Crusaders, we have Star Platinum. While Jotaro just primarily uses it to beat people up, other stands in this part are a lot more flavorful, like Jean-Pierre Polnareff and his Silver Chariot, who has the ability to mimic that of a knight with his stand, Muhammad Avdal's Magician's Red with the ability to control fire, and Dio Brando's the world, who has the ability to stop time itself. I guess you can clearly see the dramatic difference in power systems here. While Hamon was very basic and very almost fighting oriented, Stan's are a lot more mystical and a lot more typical in the shonen power systems. But due to its presentation, I would have to say it's a lot better than most shonen. And since JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is a very, very long series, up to currently 9 parts here coming up in December, Stans have seen a dramatic change, being dramatically refined in almost every part. Like Jolene and Stonefree, the ability to make your body into string and use it in very creative ways, or maybe in part 7 with Johnny Joestar and the ability to shoot your fingernails at extremely high speeds, or Yoshikage Kira's Killer Queen, which has the ability to make anything into a bomb, or Weather Report's Weather Report, who has the ability to control the weather. Needless to say, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure's power systems are incredibly good. Going from an ancient Tibetan breathing technique to ghosts fighting for you is actually pretty cool, and seeing how Stance can become really abstract in later parts is really reassuring and refreshing on a weekly basis. Well, that's all I have to say, so back to you, Augie.
Next up though, and I think a lot of people might see this come as a surprise, but we have Fullmetal Alchemist, and the scientific technique of understanding the structure of matter, decomposing it, and then reconstructing it. Alchemy. Alchemy has always been something I was fonded over, and many of you all know this, but my relationship with the series was always on this bumpy road. But whenever it came to the power system, I had nothing negative to say about it. I always found it interesting when taking the route of something scientific and factual and turning it into a fantasy that just makes sense. And there was always a reason and or an explanation and why how things work the way they are. And rarely were there any hiccups when it came to contextualizing it because it was built up on how things genuinely work within science. So the base of the system wasn't needed because it was already filled with the knowledge you already knew about the world before jumping into the series. In my opinion, that's just plain out brilliant. And once you start building above the base, you start to feel the system, including the 3 steps of what I just said a moment ago, of comprehending it, deconstructing it, and then finally reconstructing it, as well as the art of transmutation and equivalent exchange, allowed to make things fair and equal so neither party is forced to leave unfairly. You see, the power system that makes up the series of Fullmetal Alchemist has always taught me how things are supposed to be equal and rightful to the laws of science. So simply understanding the matter is already just one step closer to becoming more powerful within the world. Followed by acting on the matter brings you another step closer by deconstructing it. And you'll know when you truly become someone of great strength when you and you alone are able to reconstructualize what is right in the world and in the power system of alchemy. And finally, last but not least, we have Hunter x Hunter. And I think when it comes down to it, Hunter x Hunter's power system at concept seems really confusing, and even now for me, I still don't understand the full-fledged details when it comes to it. So already, that's how I know that before even looking any further, it deserves to be in the conversation. Nen within Hunter x Hunter is a technique that allows a living being to use and manipulate their own life energy. The term Nen could also be used in the conversation to refer as aura. And unlike Naruto and or Dragon Ball, which all have their respectives on why they are amazing as well, but what Hunter x Hunter does that separates itself from the rest is the diversity within all the different points that goes into not only becoming a Nen user, but what type of Nen user you will become. So not only do you have to have the proper progression and potential, but you also have to be initiated into becoming a user of Nen. And once you pass that, practicing the techniques becomes a whole different game. Studying the 4 major principles are as applied: Ten, Zetsu, Ren, and Hatsu. Each of the individuals have their perks to learning then mastering Nen. Following that are the advanced techniques, which there are a lot of. From the top, there's Gyo, In, En, Shu, Ko, Ken, and Ryu. And just like that, the basic techniques, there also are a lot of perks and necessities that come to them. And within these trainings, you tend to find what you and your aura type really are. And these also vary depending on you as a person. The list from the categories follows as enhancement, emission, manipulation, transmutation, conjuration, and finally specialization. Once again, all have their unique and aura-filled abilities. Needless to say though, even if it's just within one power system, as long as it goes into enough depth and discussion about said things, something like a power system can truly be endless, and the sky is really the limit when it comes to it. So until then, these are the greatest power systems in anime and manga. And with that, everyone, I think that about wraps it up. This has been Augie. As always, make sure if you enjoyed the video to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Let me know what your favorite power system is and why, and make sure to turn on the bell notifications. That way you never miss out on another one of your favorite anime and manga videos. And with that, everyone, my Twitter is @AnimeAugie, and I'll make sure to catch each and every single one of you guys in the next video. Peace.